can we please talk about UFC 278? If you are an MMA fan and you watched UFC 278, I think the best word is, holy shit, right? Oh my good God. Yeah, it was a very good event. I'm going to be recapping all the highlights from there, the winners, the losers, where they possibly go next. And also, I'm going to be taking a quick look at certain reactions that I've seen from UFC 278 that I maybe agree with or disagree with, and a couple of bits that actually kind of happened pre-fight, but I wanted to go into it anyway. But all that and a couple of looks at some MMA memes that I've seen floating around that should be good fun. Anyway, if that sounds good, stay with me for the Burt Locker episode 131. So, UFC 278 in a nutshell, holy shit, alright, but wow, brilliant. What a great event. First and foremost, I did want to shout out Marcin Tybura managed to stop the juggernaut that is Alexander Romanov. He didn't stop him, he halted his winning streak. Romanov was, 16-0? 15 finishes? Yeah, he was looking very, very good. But I did bet on Romanov, right? Not going to say that I didn't, but I also, if you do look at that breakdown, I was mentioning over and over that actually, as an underdog, he was quite a sizable underdog. As an underdog, Tybura would not be a bad one to take, and I was right in that respect because I always said, look, Tybura is going to be a very, very tough fight for Romanov. He's the best guy that he's fought so far, and hey, look, case in point, that proves it, doesn't it? Like, Tybura is just tough as old boots, and he's not going to let some new guy from Moldova, like with a 16-0 record, like come in and push him around. It was a close fight. It was very close. Split decision, I believe. I think it was a split decision or majority decision, but either way, it was a close fight. It really was. But it was good. It was competitive. Hats off to Marcin Tybura. Where's Marcin go from there? Does he try and stop another young up-and-comer? I don't know. Maybe, has he fought Tom Aspinall yet? He might be a fight for when Tom Aspinall comes back. Either way, there's options out there for him. Tyson Pedro looked great. I had a coin toss on which finish he would get, and I went with the submission rather than the TKO, and I did say, look, the smart money would have been to put down double chance just for him to get the finish, but the odds were shite, so I've got no interest in that. I've got no interest in that at all. So I rolled the dice on the submission because it was better odds, and what I should have done is gone with the TKO, because that's exactly where you just beat the fuck out of him, really. Good for, Tyson Pedro has looked excellent since he's come back, so we'll see what kind of opponents he gets put up against next. I'm trying to think who, because he wants to try and move himself up the division, doesn't he? So you've got a lot of people floating around in there. Johnny Walker's still there. You obviously got Thiago Santos, who just lost to Jamal Hill. There are options at light heavyweight. Anyway. Then you had Luke Rockhold against Palo Costa. Now it was an interesting fight. It was an interesting fight going into it. It was a lot of fun. Luke Rockhold's just gigantic at that weight class, isn't he? Because it's not like, because he is. He's first team all body, that dude, and he's just tall. He's long. He's just very, very good. You know what? I think the real problem for Luke Rockhold was that altitude. He trains at sea level, so far as I know, and that altitude really kicked the fuck out of him, didn't it? He had his hands on his knees, gasping, at the end of round one, and that was. I don't necessarily think that Luke Rockhold should call it a day based off of that performance. I actually think he looked very dangerous throughout, and the fact that he was dangerous enough that Palo Costa didn't want to just rush him and go in and finish him, that says something, doesn't it? Because honestly, I think that Palo Costa, if he'd have pushed the pace, he could have finished that fight. I do understand that Luke was still looking quite dangerous, but come on, man. If you can't put away a guy who's got his hands on his knees gasping for breath at the end of the first round, I don't know, that's not super impressive, is it? Is it? I don't know. It was a good fight though, really, really fun. That thing that Luke did at the end where, if you haven't seen it, basically, Like, because Luke got his nose busted up quite badly in the first round. I think that contributed to his fatiguing as well, to be perfectly honest. But then he got a takedown right at the end of the third round, and he just started like blowing the blood all over Costa's face. It was pretty disgusting, honestly. But I mean, hey, it was fair in love and war. I mean, it's a dirty tactic, but it was just more that he was frustrated that he'd lost and whatever. But yeah, like I said, Luke Rockhold has called it a day there, saying, you know, it was one of the saddest like retire. I hope he doesn't retire based on that, because it was quite sad, because he's just I don't want to do this shit anymore, man. Fucking old. It's like, you're not that old, Luke. You're not that old. You're really not. And I don't think that based off of that, you have to consider that altitude was a real problem. And I feel like put him in a fight at a normal altitude and yeah, see where he is. I don't know. I don't think he should necessarily call it a day off that performance. You know, fair play to Costa. That was the last fight in his contract. I don't know if it was impressive enough to have the UFC throw a whole ton of money at him. But, I mean, I think they'd be a bit mad to let him go. So I think he's going to get a decent contract, I would think. He's proven that above anything else, he's quite a draw. Joe, and people were interested in the fight. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him get like a 3-fight deal, and one that he's happy with anyway. At least one that he'll say he's happy with for the first fight. And then obviously he'll complain about not making enough money despite having signed the contract and agreeing to all the previous amounts. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, and obviously the main event, I mean, if you haven't seen it, then you're probably not a fan of MMA. Like, it's been on regular news over here in the UK, because obviously we had a man from Birmingham. Now, look, at the end of the day, obviously I did bet on Kamaru Usman. I think, no, I didn't. No, I bet on Leon Edwards by decision, didn't I? Yeah, I did believe like Leon Edwards could do it. I didn't necessarily see that happening. Didn't necessarily see it happening that way. I did say, look, at the end of the day, it's going to be a very tough ask for Leon Edwards to beat Kamaru Usman, and it was. It was a tough ask. Shouldn't be easy to beat the champ. Shouldn't be easy, right? And yeah, it was just he was getting beaten. Like, people say, people that said he was getting badly beaten are mad. It's like, no, he wasn't getting like the shit kicked out of him, but he was losing very convincingly on the scorecards. He won the first round, and they dropped every round after that. And then, had he continued to look the same as he'd done in rounds like 3 and 4, right? He started to look the same in round 5. If he'd have continued that way, he would have just dropped a decision 3-2. That's what was going to happen, right? But you know what? He showed some urgency. That kick, you're not going to see many better kicks than that. Set up with the left hand, where he threw the jab out, and he noticed that Kamaru was moving his head down to get out of the way of it. So he threw the kick behind it, landed shin on chin, absolutely perfect. Pound for pound, number 1 headshot dead. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I'm happy for Leon Edwards. It was a tremendous moment for British mixed martial arts. Like, Leon Edwards, he just did it. It was one of those spectacular moments where it's like, this is why you love the sport. Absolutely anything can happen. And yeah, I would assume that Kamaru Usman will get an instant rematch. You can't be that dominant as a champion and not get an instant rematch. You have to be careful with those instant rematches though, because if you lose again, then what? Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's the Max Holloway Volkanovski thing, isn't it? It's like where he lost twice. It's like, well, then what? You know? But yeah, really good event. Absolutely brilliant. So I just want to say, before I get into the news, thank you very much for watching this video. If you're enjoying the content, please remember to hit like, or remember to hit subscribe, and remember to just leave a comment. Call me a dickhead, do whatever, I don't care. Just help my algorithms by contributing to the conversation. I'd much rather actually discuss MMA with you than people just call me a dickhead, but I'll take what I can get, you know? But if you want to have a chat about it, leave something in the comments. I always come back to people because I like talking about mixed martial arts. That's why I do this. I just enjoy the fuck out of it. So, yeah, thank you very much. Also, check out the Patreon as well. £1 a month, and you get extra fight picks on there. It's fucking good. It's a good time. Head over. It helps me out, you know? Anyway, looking at the news, the main things that I've seen in reaction to UFC 278 was like a lot of people were coming out saying that the commentary was really bad. It's like, in what respect? In what respect? A lot of people say, oh, so all the people were saying, you know, that Leon Edwards, they were counting him out. It's like, yeah, guys, they have to call what they see, right? Until Leon landed that head kick, he was cruising to a 3-2 decision at best. It could have been a 4-1 decision if he had dropped the 5th round, right? So at best, he was looking at a 3-2 decision loss. And he wasn't showing very much urgency. Like, he wasn't making eye contact in the court. He didn't look like he had that fire under him. But obviously he did. Like Joey, like I said, he pulled it out of the bag. But the commentators have to call what they see, guys. Like, they can't, they can't sit there and watch somebody, you know, being kind of handily beaten in a decision and just say, yeah, but I mean, this guy's going to pull out a head kick any minute, because like they're going to be wrong most of the time. Don't get me wrong. And even like Rogan kind of came out and she said, look, I'd counted Leon out, and this is why I love the sport, because stuff like that can happen. That was absolutely brilliant. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, the commentary was fine, honestly. And look, if the commentary is bad, I'm the first one to come out and talk about it. Remember the Jan Blachowicz, Israel Adesanya commentary? I was the first. I came out and I was like, that was fucking terrible. That was bad commentary. But actually, the commentary was spot on this weekend. They have to call what they see, guys. They can't not. Do you know what I mean? That's mental. But also, just another quick note on old Luke Rockhold is that I was watching... what's it called? Rough and Rowdy last weekend as well. I won't go into that one just yet, because I think they like to still sell the pay-per-views like afterwards, and not give away the results. So I won't give away any of the results just yet, but I will be doing a recap of that because it was super fun. I do love Rough and Rowdy. Shout out Barstool Sports. Shout out Rough and Rowdy. It's one of the most top, like, evening entertainment things you can have. Just get the guys round, you know, have some wings. We had like, you know, 4 different kinds of wings, like nachos, chili, loads of beers, and Rough and Rowdy. It's a damn good time, honestly. Like, it's really good. But anyway, there was a Barstool Sports reporter, apparently, Luke Rockhold took umbrage with in the press conference, well, in the Q&A before the fights. He was saying, oh, well, you know, took a luchador mask to Chito Vera's interview, and he didn't like it. And the reporter's like, I don't know, I spoke to Chito's manager. Me and Chito's manager are friends. You know, I spoke to him before and I asked him, would he like this? And he said, yeah. He's like, yeah, but he's from Ecuador. He's not from Mexico. He's like, you know, I didn't give him the mask saying he was from Mexico. No point did anyone try and say that he was from Mexico. That's not. It was just a silly gift that I saw in a market stall. I sent a picture of it and asked, should I get this for Chito? And it's like, yeah, well, you know, and it's like, just do your homework. Do your homework. He's from Ecuador. It's like, well, to be fair, Luke, it sounds like you have a really vague understanding of what actually happened. I actually said this in this tweet to him. Yeah, it sounds like you've got a very vague understanding of what actually happened in that interview by, dare I say it, not doing your homework, right? Maybe get the full fucking story. Get the full picture of what happened before you start going, oh, do your homework, guys. Be better. Fuck off. Also, I would say that maybe he would have done better at the weekend had he really taken into account the altitude that they'll be fighting at by, once again, doing his homework. I think it was a really good performance from Luke Rockhold, actually. Like, I don't want him to call it a day there. I think that he should keep going, because I think it was the altitude that completely fucked him. I still think he looked dangerous. Skill for skill, I still think he looked better, like, arguably, but he just didn't. He was gassed at the end of the first round. And the fact he managed to get to the end, with credit to him, man. Credit to Luke Rockhold. That was a gutsy performance. Really gutsy. I really enjoyed it. And you know what? I feel like he could come back and fight at a normal altitude that he's used to and probably look really good still. So, who knows? He didn't officially retire, I don't think. So, we'll see more on that. So, yeah, anyway, Troll of the Week. So, I've got a couple here. These are pretty funny, to be fair. There's, where is it? Where did I put it? Where have I saved those to? Yeah, so anyway, you've got Monday mornings, there we go, that's the one. Yeah, so you've got Walking in on a Friday night versus Monday morning. You've got Leon Edwards just walking into the ring, and you've got Monday morning as poor old Kamaru staring up into the lights because he's just had his lights taken out. And yeah. Whew, yeah, it was a bad knockout. Bad knockout. Looking forward to seeing the rematch though, Joe. And credit to both fighters. They both did a great job. I am actually wearing my George St. Pierre Affliction t-shirt, though. It's a classic thing. Just because, obviously, you know, George is still now, like, there will be questions being asked about who's the welterweight, pound for pound, best ever. And at the moment, it is still Georges St. Pierre. I am not impressed by your performance. So, no, but fair play. No. But although I would say, a lot of people are saying, well, I think we can take Usman out of the pound for pound greatest of all time welterweight conversation. It's like, can I remind you that George St. Pierre did get knocked out from Matt Serra and still managed to come back and then put on the career that we saw, and it is considered the greatest welterweight of all time. Like, let's not rule Usman out just yet. A lot of people just ready to fucking drop Usman in the trash after one loss. It's like, come on, man. Come on, be better. And then you've got girls. I can't believe he didn't cry in the Titanic. Do men even have feelings? And then you've got Luke Rockhold's retirement speech. It's yeah, it was a sad one. I'm gonna be honest. It was one of the saddest ones that I've seen, just because he just seemed so kind of upset with himself that he couldn't kind of do more, and he's just like, I don't even want to do this anymore, Joe. Oh, I'm fucking old. It's like, you're not that old, Luke. You're not that old. Anyway, that is all I've got time for this week. There isn't any fights on this weekend, so I am going to have a well-earned break, and I'll be back for next week. I'll do a normal show during the week, just looking at the news, stuff like that. I'm sure some shit will go down. But then you've got Taito Ivasa versus Cyril Gane in Paris. Gay Paddy the week after. So I'm going to be doing a lot of fight research for that one, because I cannot wait for that card. Robert Whittaker against Marvin Vettori as well. That's like an excellent co-main and main event. Just, yeah, get out of here with that. Anyway, and that should be on a normal time for me as well, because it's in old Gay Paris. I'm thinking, I haven't checked yet, but that's my assumption. Anyway, so until then, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.